Welcome to Junior Core. We're going to get right into the session. It's about a very strong position we're taking on abuse. And if you don't know anything about what we have done in the past, it's called Erica's House. We call it now a program called the Safe House. It's a radio show, and we hope to start it September 4th for in memory of Erica Harkema. So look for a new broadcast this September. Okay, so we're going to get it right into, and we're not going to pull any punches when it comes to abuse. Stay tuned for this, after this. Every parent deserves their day in court, and we're going to use Judge Barbie here for an example. When the date is over, it ends at the doorstep. They have a curfew, okay? And what I'm telling you, no matter how old of a child is living with their parents, or in the case, if you're living alone, you still have parents, okay? And one of the things that children don't realize, the danger, and why the rules are established the way they are. Because the date has to end at some point. Like, if that person wanted to go and get a cup of coffee and did more than they were supposed to do, parents need to be aware of that. The ones that are responsible enough to ask questions like, what kind of date was it? Did it go further than cup of coffee? Like, did you want to go further and ask the right questions, okay? The same thing with child abuse that is going on. There's grandparents, there's somebody around that may be seeing something that they're not asking the right questions, okay? We're doing this, and now we started a program on the radio, a radio program, and it's called Safe House, okay? It's not a literal safe house. It's not a literal safe house. It's a radio program called Erica's House, but we changed it to Safe House instead. And on Friday, September 4th, I hope that this thing gets off the ground. Okay, we tried to do it in 2016. There was a lot of things that we had to overcome, and it costs money to do that, and we got mouths to feed. We got little ones that need to be fed properly and clothed properly, okay? And I can say that because in North Carolina, where we were living, that was the case. That was the case up here in Pennsylvania. It goes on everywhere you go, where somebody went too far on the date, okay? And the conversation is going to change from how far did you go? That person is unwelcomed, okay? If he decided to have sex and he told the girl that he was taking her out on a coffee date, whether it be in Brighton Heights or down there in South Side of Pittsburgh, no matter where he took the date, how far does that person go is the problem, okay? So if anyone ever questions who was in the wrong, the girl who says no or doesn't want to go any further, or is led astray or led into a situation where he is going to go the next step. He's going to have sex with her. He's going to take her pants down and he's going to have sex with her. This is why parents like mine were mad about, respecting the rules at home, okay? It goes on in your home. It probably went on. It goes. You see it on TV. I had to sound off for a while because taking someone's pants off without them wanting it is rape. Okay? And there's a hotline that you can call, a national hotline. There are a lot of people that don't report their rapes. They don't report it. And then they go and hide their abortion. And the real issue is, why did it go further than what it was supposed to, right? Because that's really what's going on. Young men, if you've ever been in a dating relationship where somebody called you white trash, harassed you, or made fun of you, or bullied you, because it's going on with men, it's going on with women, it's now going on with babies and children. And there are This is not a political topic, by the way. This is life as you know it. It's about being safe and going home and, locking that door and feeling safe in your neighborhood, okay? And there are neighborhoods that feel that when they lock that door, they don't know if somebody's going to shoot at them, and etc. That's in Chicago, and it can happen in any big city, believe me. We've talked about a lot of things on our channel. I spent a lot of time doing that because I know that we got to start somewhere with the rules, The rule is that when the date is over, Mr. certain such and such has to go to his house and share his coffee and his necessities in his home. He can't go over to his ex-girlfriend's house 20 years later and drink out of her cup of coffee. Okay? It doesn't work that way. Okay? When you haven't seen your ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend in 30 years and they just show up and they're casually drinking out of your coffee cup, something's wrong. Something's wrong with the inappropriate behavior. Something's really wrong here. When you go home alone and you're afraid because that person had the ability to be abusive, okay? Something's very wrong whenever you leave a girl out on the street with nowhere to go. So I wanted this conversation to start someone. You tell me, you leave an 18-year-old out there as a parent. You're either not a loving, caring parent, because I'm going to tell you, you're not old enough to handle the world out there. Not at 18, okay? And there are adults that think that your 18-year-old children are mature. They are not. Hey, I got some information for some of you. The brain doesn't develop until you're 28. Okay, so it takes a lot of learning from abuse that occurred when I was a teenager. I was forced out at 18 years old. I had nowhere to go. I had no one to turn to. And do you know that those people lived in the house and went to bed that night with no thought of the harm they were doing to me? When you have foster parents that, shove you around, like in the case with my brother, they don't realize the implications of their choices. And I'm going to tell you, everyone faces the consequences of their choices because they're going to be called out for who they are. And there's a reason why your mom and dad, when you sit down and talk to your parents and tell your parents what's really going on, and the ones that really care, who are doing the moral right thing, like looking out for your children, and you see a bump or a bruise, I'd ask the question, like, where did this bruise come from? And that's typically what most parents would do. Now, there have been criminal cases that are minor compared to what we're talking about. I'm saying as far as number of cases, okay? It's still a very big deal when an infant is abused by their own parent, though. And there are individual cases that are going on with children that are being abused by an adult, okay? That's why we brought it to your attention that if somebody hurts you, and I'm talking to you, the younger ones, and I would say junior court needs to know that when you don't feel good, you say something to somebody that can be a voice of reason, okay? If somebody hurts you, say something or show us where it hurts, okay? And that's generally what I wanted to talk about here at Junior Court, okay? So thank you for taking the time to listen to our broadcast. It is pre-recorded for those of you who want to talk to your kids about abuse, dating violence, or anything. Believe me, it's a wide open discussion. And parents, talk to neighbors, talk to people that have been through it. Ask around, say, hey, did you know about what that person did to this kid? Did you hear what happened? I mean, get a conversation started, and I bet you'll get a world of information that is necessary for the safety of other people involved, okay? They might not be able to even voice their opinion, but you could be a voice for that person or an advocate in some way, because we all know that Jesus is our advocate. And we need people to advocate for the innocent ones out there, the innocent lives that are being subjected to abuse. And believe me, that is the end of the story for us here. But we don't get a chance to do this often, and I taped it with the intention of sounding off and saying some things that needed to be said. So with that said, thank you for listening to Junior Court.